Hello friends, welcome to module 1 of ETL testing tutorials. Today I am going to give a brief introduction on ETL. What are the basic reasons, what are the basic things that you must know before jumping onto the ETL process. We must know what's the reason why ETL comes in existence, what is the data warehouse concept, what are the various sources we have while working in the ETL, what all various ETL tools we have, and what is the role of ETL tester. Today I'm going to discuss these all topics. So let's start with the very first topic, that is data in bulk. So generally what happens if I show you this thing, a diagram. Let's say if we have one retail application, we'll start with the very basic and then we'll move on to the complex part of the same application. Let's say if we have a retail application in which we have the storage of data. The data is present and that data is stored in a variety of tables. Let's say if we have the category table, the product table, the sales table, the employees table, the variety of employees, the list of employees, the various positions of the levels on which employees are hired are being stored in the different tables. Let's say if within the category table, the very first table is the category table, the details of all the different types of categories are being stored. And the second table, let's say if we have the products table, the third one is the employees table, and the fourth one is the sales table. And here it is the employees table. So within each and every table, the data is stored that is relevant to its to get the complete knowledge out of that. If I want to know which all categories we do have, let's say if we have the category with the name as books, the variety of books we have the category named as shoes, variety of shoes we have the category named as health products or health. Like within health as a category, we'll store the variety of products that are related to our health. And let's say these three categories we may have the list of 100 categories, and in the same way we'll have the list of products under each and every category. Let's say if we have under books, we have the book name as ETL Testing. This is under which category? This is under books category. In the same way, under ETL Testing, we may have the category, we may have the product with the name as Hadoop Testing, or we may have the book name as Soap UI Testing, the same way Selenium Testing. Okay. And this is for only one product named as books. We may have under shoes as our category the product named as Bata. We may have the product name as Nike, and it's Adidas, or variety of brands which we have in India. Okay, so under these two categories we have different products, or we may have a very big list of products. Okay, and under sales we store each and every detail of which product is getting we are selling which product, in under which category that product is present, and what is the price of that product, or what's the on which date that product we sold, and which person or which employee handle that sale. Okay, in the same way under employee we'll have the variety of employees with its name, with its age, with its city from which they belong. Okay, one more thing which I'll add here is this date. We may have the table that is date table, date or time table, in which we'll store at which time we sell which product. Okay, so in this we'll write the current date and the months in 1 year, days in that month, number of Sundays, number of holidays in that month. Okay, the number of days in which that complete store is closed. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 tables we have. This is for one retail store. Let's say it is the store for, this is the store for Vishal Mart. Okay, this is for single store. I'm not discussing about in which city this store is present. This is about just one single store. We may have this Vishal store present in 10 different cities of one state, or we may have this same Vishal Mart, this retail store, in 10 different cities as well as in 10 different states. So what I am saying, this Vishal Mart is present in 10 cities in 10 different states. So what does it mean? It means that total 100 such stores are present. Okay, retail stores. This is the first thing. This is just the source of data in which our complete things on which we are going to look are present. So what is happening? We may need to store our complete details. We need to store our complete details in one single path, or you can say at one state or at one location, okay, in which we will store the complete details of each and every product, in which location, in which city that product is getting, we are selling that product. Okay, so not only the current data. See what generally happen within the retail store, within this Vishal Mart, within this data that is being stored in any database, we store the current data, right? So what we store? We store the current data, that is the data at the current time. What is the data? That is up to date data. The new data is being stored. But what if we delete any category from our category table, or what if we delete any product? Let's say if I delete this product Bata from the sales, from the shoes as the category. So what will happen? Complete history of this product will not be there within our data, within our database. So the solution for that, how we can keep the history, how we can make sure that the data which we delete might be present at some other location. So that thing, the solution for this is data warehouse. So what we'll do, we'll store the complete details of this Vishal Mart of one city in this data warehouse. This is about one city. Now let's say I want the details of all the products that is coming from 10 different cities of single state, of one state. Or let's say I want the details of all 10 cities of all 10 different states. I want to know which product is getting more, or we are able to sell which product in which city, what's the reason for that, like these all questions will be answered later, but for the time I'm just saying which product I am selling the most. This is my question. So the question for that can be answered if we have this data warehouse. Data warehouse will not only store the details of the product or category, that is not only the history. There are various perspectives to look at the data warehouse. Okay, just remember one thing, within data warehouse, history as well as the updated data will be stored. First thing. Second thing, not only the details, the thing which I just said, what if I delete, the first thing, the first way to look at the data warehouse, how it will help us. Let's say if I delete the Bata product from category table, from the this category table, Bata product from the category books, I'll say I delete, not the table. Okay, so I delete the Bata product under books category. So what will happen? The history will be lost for Bata, but we don't need. We need that this detail, the complete detail must be present somewhere, and that somewhere is the data warehouse. This is the first way in which data warehouse will help us. The second way to look at the data warehouse is, let's say I want to know which product is sales the most. I want to know the sale of Hadoop testing books. I want to know the sales of Nike product. How can I do this? The sales of the Vishal Mart of one city. Let me write here, of Chandigarh city, or let's say Ludhiana city under Punjab state. Okay, Ludhiana is one of the city in which Vishal Mart is present, and I want the details of the this Vishal Mart from this Ludhiana city. This is under one state as Punjab. Let's say if I have the same thing, the 10 different cities under Punjab state only. So 10 different results will be there. Right? 10 different results I am able to see in our this data warehouse, because Vishal Mart is present in 10 different cities. In the same way, if I want in all cities of all states, that will become more complex. Right? So sales is the second way to look at this data warehouse, how it will help us. The third way is the time. The time variant, again very important thing. The time at which, let's say from last 1 month, or let's say from last 1 year, how many employees that mart, that store hired, and how many employees that store fired from past 1 year. That is again one more way in which data warehouse will help us. So in this way, we have a very big list of questions that can be answered if we know the concept of data warehouse, if we store our data from the variety of sources to the data warehouse. Okay, so this is the outlook of how data we have and how it can be stored in the data warehouse. Okay, one more thing that I can explain from this diagram only is the data that is being stored in the year, like the current data. We can say that this is the OLTP, online transaction processes. This is one of the way in which the current data, that is the real time data, is being stored. OLTP, online transaction processing. Okay, so the current data means up to date data, the new data, that is the process behind this is OLTP, and after pushing this data to the data warehouse, we'll say that this is OLAP, online analysis process, on which we can make the analysis from which we can give answers to our business questions, that is from the data warehouse, and the process behind that is OLAP. Okay, this is how we need. Now let's look at the rest of the slides which I have. Okay, look at this. Data in bulk I have. The data storage is very complex, so we need the help of data warehouse. Now let's see what is data warehouse. Data warehouse is a subject oriented, again a definition. Firstly look at this. Data warehouse is a large store of data accumulated from a wide range of sources. Correct? This is what I just show you. We have a very big list of source. We have a variety of tables, and I am storing that all tables in one place, that is data warehouse. Okay, that is for a company, that can be for a store, that can be for the enterprise. Now let's look at some more technical terms for the data warehouse. Data warehouse is a subject oriented. It is integrated and time variant, so many things. Let's discuss about each and everything one by one. So what is subject oriented? Look at this diagram. What does it means? If we have any application, like let's say for the same store, we have for different products we have different applications, we have different websites. So what is actually happening at all three? Let's say if this is for the first is for the equity plans, the next one is for the insurance plans. Okay, let's say if for a bank, HDFC Bank, that bank have complete, that bank do store, gives us the complete details on the equity plans, that bank to have the complete details on the insurance plans and the loans that bank to provide. For all three processes, that bank to have different websites for that or different applications for that. Okay, so in all three applications, the same user is actually storing its data, or you can say investing its amount, its money, one's money. Okay, so from all three sources, the data, the money is being transferred to single bank only. Am I right? This is for the HDFC Bank only. Under HDFC Bank only, all three websites are working, and all three different sources, from the different sources, money is being transferred. Right? So when we store our data from three different applications, the money is being invested, and on the various investments, how much tax are being provided, how much returns, how much you can say the rate of interest is being provided, that are different, but thing is all are coming to the same bank. So this is what data warehouse actually works. In the data warehouse, all the details will be stored at one location with the one heading as HDFC, under which, like from which customer is trying to save, is which customer have invested. Let's say the same customer is investing 3 times in 3 different plans. So HDFC data warehouse for that bank will store the details of all the 3 different processes for the 3 different investment at one location. This is what subject oriented actually means. So data in the data warehouse is analyzed in the subject area, not but in the application area, like it's application 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so the subject is investment under HDFC Bank, how much interest is being provided, how much tax will be awarded to that. This is how subject oriented actually works. The second technical term present within data warehouse, the definition of data warehouse is integrated. So what do you mean by integrated? Let's take the same example. For the same bank, for the 3 different websites, same user is actually storing the data. But the same user is investing the data but with 3 different phone numbers, or let's say 3 different um, bank accounts, 3 different details, the current location. So this is how integration will help us. Data warehouse will find that these all the details are coming from the same user, so it must be stored one time only. Okay, if it is same, so this is how we'll show. Or the second example, the second way to look at the same thing is, let's say one person store its the current country is United States, the same user but at different times write the current country as US, or at the third time USA. But we know that all three actually means only one country, that is US or United States America. Whatever, the person who is working as an ETL, or the person who is at the one who is converting, the one who is looking at all these things, will make one single keyword for all 3 different names for single city. This is how we can define, this is how we can say that the data integration is being maintained within data warehouse, because from different sources, from different data, we are making it one thing so that it will not be complex. Okay, the third term that is present within the definition for data warehouse is about the time variant. The thing which I just explained about the data that is coming from the source and converting that data to the different data warehouse, one thing is fixed, that from the source to target, the data is, or from the database to target, we are actually not, the thing that is happening is we are here. So the data from the sources, the data from the Vishal Mart, from the for the Ludhiana city, is actually storing the complete data, as well as which data? It will store the updated data as well as the historical data. So the complete data will be stored in the data warehouse. So I can say that the data that is being stored is, we are not going to with the time we are going to, like, in data warehouse, a very big perspective of time will help us to find. Okay, because historical data is being present. Like if I want to the same question which I just said while discussing about the data warehouse basics, that sales, or let's say employees that are being hired and being fired from last 1 year. How can I give answer to this if I don't have any storage of the historical data? I can't give the answer for that. That question can be answered only if I have stored my historical data. Okay, and that thing can be done only if we have data warehouse. Okay, the same thing again, this is for time variant. With time we are not going to delete our data. Next thing is non-volatile data. It is again very important concept. Within data warehouse, we are not going to delete anything, we are not going to update, or we can say that we are not going to alter anything, because the complete history is being stored as well as the new data will be stored. So if you see, this is our OLTP system, operational system, and this is the data warehouse. Within operational system, insertion I can do, updation I can do, deletion I can do, and reading also I can do. But within data warehouse, I'll upload the data that is being uploaded. Let's say the user uploaded the name as, let's say ABC is the name of the user and the phone number is 111, and let's say BCD to have the phone number is 888. And what is happening after some time, user is updating its data from 111 to 222. So what will be stored within data warehouse? Within data warehouse, ABC 111 because this is the historical data, BCD 888 as well as ABC with 222. This 222 is the new data, BCD 888 is the previous data as well as ABC 111 is again the previous data that is being updated within the operational database, operational data source within OLTP system, but we are not going to replace our previous data. This is what will happen within the operational system, but this is what will happen within data warehouse system. We'll just store the updated, we'll keep the updated data, that we'll keep the historical data, we'll keep the history as well as we'll keep the new data in our data warehouse. So this is what non-volatile means. We are not going to alter our data. Okay, now let's see. So our definition is done. Again, look at this. Data warehouse is a subject-oriented, integrated, time-variant, non-volatile collection of data. Okay, so it is the collection of, the data warehouse is the collection of all such types of data. Okay, and now let's see what is the architecture of data warehouse, where it stands, where it comes in role if we are working within the variety of sources. Okay, let's see. So data warehouse is created from the sources. See here, we have sources. For the time you can just imagine that we have variety of tables, category table, product table, sales table. Then from all the sources we are doing some processing, that is ETL. This is what will discuss in very detail after this slide. So after working on the ETL, after doing this ETL process, after performing this ETL, we'll get this a data warehouse. That is the target thing what we need. Okay, the rest of the things you can ignore for the time, but the things which we have covered from the variety of sources, we'll do some things, and that processings, that operations we'll discuss now. But the thing which we need is data warehouse. This thing we'll get later, okay, in the end after performing this ETL process. Okay, so we'll discuss about reporting and OLAP reports, data marts later, but for the time just concentrate on the variety of sources. The data warehouse, it is coming after performing ETL process. Now let's see what is ETL, where it comes in existing. It is used after reading the data from the variety of sources. One thing is sure, right? After sources, ETL comes in existence. So let's see what is ETL. So ETL itself is a process that comes with 3 different processes. And that 3 different processes are extraction, transformation and loading. From its name only, it's very clear that extracting means we are fetching the data from the sources, transforming. What all are the sources? Like category table, product table, sales table, employees table, date table, time table, right? So from all the different tables, we are going to fetch our data, we are going to extract our data, or you can also read from here, data brought up from external sources. From the different sources we are going to fetch the data, we are going to read the data. Now what all are the transformations? Transforming the data means all the transformation, the changes which we need in our extracted data, that all changes we'll do under transformations, and then we'll load our data into the target database, that is the data warehouse. So can I say that data warehouse is my database only? It's the target database that comes with the complete data of the database as well as the historical data. That will help me to analyze our data. Okay, so this is what all things we need. Okay, so ETL, this is all it's all about. Now let's see in more details on the ETL process only. Just see here, E, T and L. Before E, what we need? We need the sources. Transformations we'll do here, and loading we'll do within our target data warehouse or within our this data warehouse only, right? So now let's discuss about how ETL process actually works, where it is, like after which thing we need E as extraction process, after which we are going to load our data, to which location we are going to load our data. So extraction is the process that can be performed on the source. The source can be our, not only the thing which I just explained for that retail store is about like category table, product table, but in other than this we may have the data stored in the files, the flat file. We may have data stored in any of the DBMS. We may have data stored in the OLAP system, or you can say XML file, that is the browser based file. Okay, so that all files are actually doing what? From all the source files, I'm going to extract, I'm going to fetch my data, and then I'm going to do transformations, the business transformations. What all business transformations can be? Let's say in the organization, as we have stored the employees details under employee table, we may have the employee's name as ABC, BCT, DEF, like this, right? But other than this, that company wants, before ABC it must come with EMP ABC, EMP BCT, EMP DEF, like this. Okay, so what is happening? We are just converting our source data according to our business requirement in some other format. And which format? We are just appending the string EMP, like before giving the name, before writing the name, we are appending EMP as the string. So this is one of the transformations that we'll do. That we can say that transformations are according to business requirements. We will change our source data, and then we load our data to our target data warehouse. Okay, so this is how our ETL process actually works. Now, how these transformations we are going to do, and how we are going to extract our data. We can do it with the Java code, or I can code it completely with any of the language in which like you are comfortable. You can write code, but it will become very complex. So many vendors today are giving us variety of tools with the help of which we can perform all three operations, E, T and L. Okay, that will help us to extract our data, to transfer our data, to transform our data, and to load our data to our target data warehouse. Okay, so on the basis of the reviews that people gave to that, we have written all the, wait a minute, yeah, 22 tools, such tools we have in the market, which are being provided by various vendors, like Oracle is providing, IBM, and Microsoft also. It's SQL Server, this is product by Microsoft. Power Center Informatica is a product by IBM. Talent Studio, and the Cognos, of many tools we have. And out of all, Talent is one of the like tools we have. Some of the tools are free tools. For some of the tools we need a license to buy. Some tools are freely available. Okay, so out of all, we are going to work on the Power Center Informatica, that is again a freely available tool, and in which we are going to work in our upcoming videos. So this ETL, all three processes are going to be performed with which tool? In my case, in our videos, we are going to record. I'm going to record it with Informatica. That is a product by Oracle only. Okay, so Informatica is the tool which will help me to do this. So now let's see the thing which I was saying here. Files we have, the databases we have, OLAP systems, XML file, browser based file. So in the same way, we may have variety of sources from which we can fetch our data. We may have the MySQL as our source in which we are storing our data. We may have Oracle, we may have SQL Server, we may have our flat files, we may have XML files, but make sure that whichever database you are using, let's say if you are using Oracle, you do need to make the connection between the Oracle database with the Informatica tool. This is what we need. Oracle database, we need to connect it. We need to make a connection string within our Oracle database and the Informatica tool. Okay, in the same way, we need the connection file for MySQL, we need the connection file for SQL Server, we need for flat file, what we need? For flat file like XML file or the .txt file, we generally need the path, the name of the file, the path of the file, where it is present, where it is being stored by the end user, by the user who is actually trying to perform that ETL process, right? So these all sources we have, and from the various sources, for all the sources we need to provide some connection string, connection file, the path, like this. Okay, so ETL process we cover sources. Now see here, we have covered all of these things, data sources. The last topic which is left is ETL tester. Now let's see, what is the role of ETL tester? What ETL tester is going to do if one is extracting the data, that all three processes, E for extraction, T for transformation, and L for loading, where ETL tester is going to start. So ETL tester, so before discussing about ETL testing, before discussing about what is roles of ETL tester, what all things we should know before jumping to the ETL testing. What is testing? Testing is the way of validation and verification. Testing comes with two different processes, validations and, okay, before validation it's verification. Verification and validation. So verification and validation is the two processes which are required under testing. Verification is a way to check, is a way to compare, and validation means on the basis of the comparison, on the basis of the business requirement, we can update our data, we can change, we can make it as our company wants. Okay, so testing itself means to doing the validation and the verification and validation. Now let's see what is ETL, like how ETL tester is going to perform this two processes, verification and validation. See here, if I have the data warehouse, surely we need to test that data warehouse, and the testing I can perform on the this testing can be done on our target data warehouse, or I can say that this testing is going to so all such kind of testings which we need to be done on the data warehouse, on the target data warehouse, are here. That is the basic validation test. That is the very first step that we'll do as an ETL tester while transferring our data from the one location to the another location, or from the one place to another place. We'll do basic validation check, we'll do data count check, we'll do data completeness check, and many more like authentication and authorization, like privileges we may need to provide on that user with the help of which we want to work. That is again one of the testing thing that we need. Okay, and data completeness check we can perform. So the thing is, if you see here, the source data we have in our the very first thing that we have is the source data. From the source, we will provide this, we'll work this on this ETL process, and on that ETL process, in between the processes, we have some staging databases where we'll store our data. So other than this, we can also directly pass this data from the source to the data warehouse, right? We may have Excel sheet, we may have .xml files. So from the sources, we can directly pass our data to our data warehouse instead of moving data to the staging databases. The reason for that is we'll discuss while discussing about the ways, the various schemas, the various architecture within data warehouse. We'll discuss this thing, like directly we can put our source data to our data warehouse, or we need some of the staging databases, we need some of the data cube. Okay, so that things we'll discuss later. Before the time, you can just see that from the source we are performing ETL processes and transferring our data to the target data warehouse, and on this target data warehouse we'll perform this ETL testing actually. Okay, and within ETL testing we'll do various kind of verifications and we'll perform the validations, and that all verifications and validations we could see over here. And in more detail we'll discuss when we'll reach at that we'll understand when we have the knowledge of all these steps, all these transformations, all the sources. Then we'll discuss in more details about the various ETL testing steps and the various places and the various tests which as an ETL tester we can perform. Okay, thank you so much.